Yes.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I am so glad for the Puget Sound Regional Council because we would not be having this EIS unless they basically told City of Kirkland to go back and do an EIS and engage with your citizens, your residents, because City of Kirkland earlier in 2020, they tried to change the 85th Street as part of the urban center of Kirkland Urban without the residents making comment. They sent a letter to Puget Sound Regional Council and said, hey, we want to expand our urban center up to 85th. And thank goodness Puget Sound Regional Council said, sorry, you need to go back. You need to do an EIS. You haven't done one for 5 years and you need to get residents' input. I am so angry that the city council tried to do this with residents without giving us input, when especially we had just done our plan for 85th, Rose Hill, North Rose Hill, South Rose Hill, bridle trails a year before that, and our 20-year plan 4 years before that. And so I am so glad we have this. I wasn't happy seeing that only 35 people were invited to participate in some kind of a workshop earlier in the spring of 2020, but this needs to be covering more people. The city needs to be more transparent. I have sent posted 500 flyers around the impacted area over the last 3 weeks, because I believe the city should have been doing something. They could send an easy postcard within 300 feet of all the impacted people. I am over 300 feet from impacted, but I believe this does impact many people. And so I think that your outreach needs to be wider, and your guys need to have more of open hearts to not being set, which it appears on, just upzoning this area to 10 or more stories, when I think 6 stories is plenty.
Great, thanks, Susan. Yeah, this is Adam Weinstein from the Planning and Building Department. We do really appreciate your efforts to alert more people to the project, and we're interested in doing that as well. And that's really the focus of the meeting that we're at tonight. Susan is talking about an urban growth center designation that the county designated that basically just encompassed our existing neighborhood plans without really any changes to them. So those had already gone through a separate public process. And yeah, Susan mentioned we are indeed going through a process with PSRC that will essentially just take this plan and an updated plan for Moss Bay that we're just starting on right now and combine them together for a designation as well. So that's just to give everybody some context for what Susan is referring to. But yeah, we appreciate those comments, Susan. Thanks.
May I make a comment? This is Catherine.
Yeah, thank you. Please, Catherine, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to say that I could only access and download the EIS on the 5th, and it's only the 7th. And I still haven't gotten clear through it. So it's kind of difficult to have comments ready and things to say about something I haven't been able to read yet.
Well, we'll be accepting comment through the 5th, and one of our hopes for this meeting is that it would help people navigate that giant document. I mean, we obviously weren't able to cover everything that was in it, but I hope we've provided some background information that will help people navigate through all the information that's available on the project website.
Will you have another meeting like this?
We'll have another one in the spring, but we'll be covering different material.
Okay, but not before the 5th. Okay.
And until then, I'm happy to be contacted. I know we have a few more slides and opportunities for the project team to share a report out from what we heard in our breakout sessions. But in the meantime, this is Allison. I'm happy to be contacted if questions come up, and of course, any comments can be submitted directly to me. So our goal is that people have a chance to understand what they're commenting on, and we're here to help that however we can. So feel free to contact me directly. And with that, I'll throw it back to the team from Massoon and Burke to lead report out.
Great, thanks, Allison. So appreciate everybody's hanging in there this evening and participating in the group discussion. I know my group, it was really helpful to hear from everybody. And this is also a helpful just visual to get a sense of some of the key topics that people were talking about in the first discussions this evening. So thank you so much. I just want to make sure to highlight what the next steps are and the decision-making process, since we just heard a couple questions about that, and make sure everybody knows where to go for that information. So this will be available, but what this is looking at is just a summary of what the decision-making process will be moving forward with this planned, with this station area planning project. We're here this evening at, as you just said, Catherine, at the quite beginning of having the draft EIS released and the beginning of the draft comment period, which will run until February 5th for a month. The next step will be meeting with Planning Commission and with Council and taking the input from all of the comments this meeting and those two meetings to help set a direction for a preferred alternative, which will likely be a combination of different elements of the alternatives. That'll be developed looking at some more technical refinement and modeling. There'll be some workshops with the various city departments to make sure that we're understanding how it affects all the various departments and functions of the city. And in March, we'll have some additional meetings with Planning Commission and Council that will then have a preferred alternative open house, again, with the public to discuss and refine that and hear your comments and thoughts on that. Ultimately, that'll work towards the summertime, where we'll have a draft station area plan and final station area plan, which we hope will be heard and we hope will be adopted this summer, tentatively in June. So that's kind of a time frame for the decision making and the different feedback loops within it. We just really want to focus on how folks, again, can comment and participate from this evening moving forward. There's a survey that's available online that is available throughout that month-long comment period. The link is here, and it'll also be on the project page as well on the city's website. So feel free to participate in that if you're interested. It's not too long. It's several questions, but we hope that that's a user-friendly way to provide some feedback. As Allison mentioned, you are also more than welcome and encouraged to submit any comments you may have throughout this month, or talk with Allison directly, either submit by mail, email, or phone call. And just wanted to, again, recap on some tips for commenting and being involved during this stage of the draft EIS process that Lisa mentioned earlier. Again, it's always helpful to summarize your concerns to get the sense of it, as well as add any specifics you may have. I know this evening we were talking a bit from the broader community perspective, so I'm sure you have some individual comments. Let us know if there are places where things could be more complete or accurate. I know I talked about one in my group today. Please let us know if there are solutions that you think would be helpful, and any best combination of the features that you think would meet the objectives. And then just again, a quick reminder that the station area project is separate from those transportation projects, and that you can contact WashDOT and Sound Transit for questions regarding those.
Lauren, I have a question for you. You folks brought up a lot of different URLs and different connections. Is there a place where we can see exactly where there's a list of those places where we can click on those URLs and links to get to the resources that you're talking about tonight?
That's a great question. So those will all be linked on the project website. And let me just see if I can, sorry, one moment. Let me grab that information again. But that will be available on the website, and it should also be on the project update mailing list from the city as well. Should all be available on there. Allison and Lisa, is that correct, or anything to add on the information?
Yeah, I think if you show the project website one more time, and then the survey is live tonight, but will be posted tomorrow. So if you can go back to the slide with the survey link, that would be helpful.
Yep. Sorry, one moment. So here's, so this is the link for the station area plan website on the city's page. And then I'll leave that up for a moment and then just go to the survey slide one more time.
I have a question. Since the city website has been redesigned, unfortunately, the 2015 draft EIS and EIS for the Kirkland 2035 plan is not easy to find anymore. And I'm wondering, are you guys going to create that page again? Because right now you have to basically dig into like some kind of city-like initiative that you guys created. I would love for that to be available so people could also compare it to, hey, what was the city saying just 5 years ago and what did we agree to?
80.
That's a great point, Susan. In our next webpage update, I can put a link to that, the last EIS that was completed. So thank you for that comment. It should be up there within the next couple days.
Thank you. And with all the supporting documents as well, where you guys had the growth by neighborhood to get to the 8,300 living units, also with the, all of that. That was all, we paid a consultant probably hundreds of thousands of dollars and spent 18 months of hundreds and thousands of probably Kirkland residents commenting on that. And I think that should be available so people understand what we were just at 5 years ago.
Great, thank you. Well, I know we're getting towards the end of our time here this evening. Becca or Allison, are there other things that you all wanted to make sure to share with folks this evening?
This is Allison. I'll just jump in and remind folks one more time on that station area webpage. There is a link to sign up for the email update list. So if you haven't yet, that's a great way to stay informed. So would really encourage folks to sign up for that list if you haven't yet. And again, in the next day or two, we'll be getting all the links up to this. We'll be posting the recording of the presentation. So if you know folks that weren't able to attend tonight and might be interested in watching the presentation and learning more, that'll be a resource for folks on the webpage as well within the next few days. And thank you so much, everyone, for your time tonight. I think we're learning a lot of really valuable information for us to take forward into this next stage. So just really appreciate your time.
Hey, Allison, I think I also mentioned in my previous email, is there any possibility that city can like mail every resident that is affected by this plan, like the links so that, because I have talked to a bunch of businesses and also neighbors, no one actually know something like this is going on in the city.
Yeah, why don't we connect offline and we can, if you want to email me, we can connect about your ideas there. I know we've sent some mailings out, but if something's been missed, we want to know about it. So happy to connect on that. Thank you.
Am I correct that the survey is accessible from the website?
The survey is not yet posted on the website. So there's a direct link to the survey that Erin had on the screen a little bit ago, and we'll be getting that survey link on the website within the next day. So we finished it right before we met with you all tonight. So it's going to take us a little bit just to get the link up for you. Thanks for asking.
You could email all of us the link too.
Allison, can I also ask a question? I tried to submit comments here through the text that was in the instructions in the previous screen, and it's failed. It said your presenter, BRK, has not opened a poll yet. So is this an option or how does it work?
Oh, thanks for your question. So we use that just as a quick way to summarize some key ideas from the group discussion this evening, but it's different than submitting a comment. It's not a good way to submit a comment on the project.
Sure,
so.
sure. That was just exactly
like
a 2 sentences quick thing I wanted to submit there, but it's not working, just to let you know.
Thank you.
And sorry, and just so I'm clear, so we had these breakout groups, and I know that a lot of our comments were recorded. Is there going to be a public record of what we talked about today, or will that be available on the Kirkland website?
We didn't record the discussion group, so we won't have like a word for word thing. The notes that your facilitator took will be the record, and those are recorded as part of the EIS process. So there'll be an appendix of a report coming out later, but they won't. And that will be on the website. They won't be individually. The discussion recording won't be posted on the website.
Is Susan still on this discussion?
Looks like I see Susan.
Can we ask
Yes, I am.
Susan, how do we get a hold of you if we wanted to ask you some questions about some of your comments?
Yeah, I mean, my email is susandavis@live.com. So it's SUSANDAVIS@live.com. Yeah, I mean, I could try to send you all the documents. Like I said, the website has changed. I've had some downloaded, from the past. I also, if you are nextdoor.com, you could search for, we've been discussing it there. I've been told by Rodney Rutherford, who is a planning commissioner, that I don't have compelling enough reasons and that he wants 14 stories.
No, that's not true. And that is not, you cannot make statements about it.
I have screen prints and I will gladly share them to anybody. Thank you.
And we're always looking for more ways to get the word out about this project. As you all know, our normal methods of engaging have changed a lot over the past year. So if you have comments on how you like to be contacted, or people that haven't been contacted and how we can get in touch with them, we do appreciate that, because we sent out one round of postcards in March, but that was a different world.
There's a great communication plan that you guys posted, and that never materialized.
Which one?
The communication plan that you guys posted on the website on this project, reaching out to communities, reaching out to groups, and how you guys are going to mail people. There's a great plan, but that plan I did not see that in action so much as I would like.
You'd like to see more emails or more physical mailers?
No, the plan actually had reach out to diverse groups in Kirkland, reach out via Facebook, reach out via mail. So what's the plan? And I can send you the link that I had. So I mean,
and any feedback you have on specific steps would be great. We have been working on a sort of report out on which of those steps we completed and what the outcome was, that we'll be sharing with Planning Commission at our next meeting with them. And then that packet becomes public on the website after the meeting.
Yeah, thank you. Sure.
May I ask 2 quick questions? One, just wondering what Rajesh was saying. If there is a report out on the engagement plan and what was done, please include what was not done. It's hard to tell. I lived in 2 houses, both in the zone, and I never noticed the postcard. And with COVID and a lot of people just staying at home, that's one of the few ways to do it if you're not already astute enough to sign up for the listserv or watch the website, what have you. But then the question I had, is there another round of feedback on the next 2 phases? And is it similar to this, or is there a written session where somebody like Allison has taken written comments once we get the draft form-based code?
There is another round of feedback once we're going to take your comments tonight and we're going to combine them into a preferred alternative. And then we'll have another round of feedback in the late spring, early summer.
A written and session such as this?
Yes, we haven't decided on the precise format. It is sounding like things will still be virtual at that point. So.
And then just to jump in on the we are visiting our Planning Commission and City Council in the next couple weeks, and the meeting packet that we are preparing for those meetings will include a summary of outreach we've completed to date. So we're always looking for different ways to inform more people. So yeah, happy to receive input on that as well if you have thoughts. But yeah, we do have a kind of a written summary of what's been done so far coming out in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I believe Allison was printing that before our meeting today, so we will not be able to update it with what wasn't done from the plan. But I'm not aware of any steps. We could probably put more detail in about the number of mailings that went out. It sounds like that's something that's useful for folks.
And Allison, this is Scott Powell. Just very quickly, so the ultimate decision and how it's made, is it, I know it's not a vote by all those of us that are on the phone right now, but is it not only just the city council? I mean, we could have all these great inputs, you could collect them, you could have an alternative. This is not going to be a case where all of a sudden the city council just says, oh, thank you very much. This is what we want to do. How will the ultimate, excuse me, go ahead.
Yeah, so city council is the ultimate decision maker, but we are forwarding everything we hear to them. I know several of them are here tonight. It's a big project for the city and for the city council. So they are the ultimate decision maker opposed to like a citywide vote on the matter. But I know just from speaking with them, they are very interested in hearing what you've said, which is, I believe, why some of them are here tonight to hear directly. There's also opportunities to, contact them directly around meetings and such. So their information is on the city's webpage as well if you wish to contact them directly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, quick questions, Curtis Brown. Our session, we only had maybe about 5 people, and we couldn't even get through the second set of questions. And someone was going through making a great point. Can we at least have that? I mean, if you guys actually want the feedback from the people that are here, can we have what that diagram was or what those questions are up on the site so that people can know to include that in their feedback that prior to the 5th? Because right now, I mean, given our last conversation, the last time that we did this, nothing seems to have been incorporated into these plans. It's 100 times worse. It seems like, hey, Lee Johnson, Google, the rest of them are having great closed door conversations, and these things aren't being heard. This session was so short and cut off. It didn't feel like this actually was intended to do anything but placate us and make us feel like we're being heard. So can we please at least have, if you guys want that feedback, include that on the site for people to be able to include, make sure that they're more comprehensive on the type of feedback they give you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. We're absolutely interested in what you have to say. And yeah, I was disappointed we didn't get through all the questions in my group either. We'll be posting the slide deck, so the presentation from tonight, and if that doesn't have the questions within it, I can post up the questions separately on the webpage as well. So that should be able to get up in the next day or two on the project webpage. And if you want to use that to format a comment email, we'd love to hear more from you. So we'll get those up on the website.
This is also just a reminder that the survey, which the link is here and will be on the project website soon, has many, I believe, has actually all or many of the questions we discussed tonight as well. So that would be a good sort of parallel set of guidance to, if you would like to have that flow through for comment.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that, Erin. The survey is so new, I forgot about it.
Quick question, after completing the survey, does it just kick you back to the City of Kirkland, Washington website? Just want to make sure. The survey's up and running and it's good. I just went through it.
It's on SurveyMonkey, so it won't take you back to the website, but you can use your back button and you should be able to get there.
No, sorry, I meant once you finish going through the survey, does it say you completed the survey? I'm more so asking, is the survey ready for public? Because I just went through it all and I don't even know if it went through.
It is, yeah, it is open and accepting responses, yes.
Great, thank you.
And Becca, I do believe it shows the project website at the end.
Oh, thank you.
One question I have real quick. So risking to sound a little radical here, what is the option for having the residents in Kirkland vote on this? It's a very, very, very significant impact for everyone. Not even only for those of us who are in the zone, but for everyone, like Kirkland Urban in downtown. I mean, I understand the decision process and everything else, but the true value of voice of people and democracy here would be if we vote on that.
Yeah,
I have to second that one.
Here, here as well.
I think yeah, obviously that's a different process than the one that has been established for planning processes in the city, right? It's not we haven't typically operated as a direct democracy in terms of approving plans like this that are long range for the city. But typically under our process that entails electing elected officials like our city council members, and then planning commissioners get appointed by our city council, and then the planning process goes through those bodies. So they're great comments. I think my response would be that, as Ali mentioned before, our city council and planning commissioners, as you can see, are highly engaged in the process, and they are actually listening to what people are saying, and that the voices that we're hearing are really diverse, and so that they represent lots of different viewpoints. And it's the city council's ultimately their responsibility to mesh those diverse perspectives together and make sure that those are reflected in the plan. So.
I appreciate it. In the kind of the spirit of transparency, can the city council publish, like for instance, how many people were supporting alternative 1, 2, and 3 afterwards, and so on? I mean, so that we have some form of feedback on those decisions that will be made.
If I could make a comment about the EIS process, because it is a process, it's not something, and the whole basis of having an EIS is to make sure that everything has been examined and hasn't been overlooked. And by definition, any comment that you make on a draft EIS or draft supplemental EIS has to be addressed in the final EIS and will be listed. So you're not going to be ignored no matter what. If you make your course of action is to comment. A written comment has to be addressed in the final EIS by definition.
Yeah, and very much appreciate that and appreciate what Adam said. I guess a lot of us have a fear factor. We just saw what your peers across the lake did over the past 6 months. Please do better than they did. And thank you for listening to us, because what happened over in Seattle was an atrocity.
And any comment we make should be compelling enough for some sort of action.
And if I could ask one other thing, thank you for allowing me, if I could. I'm missing or concerned that there were 3 scenarios. I didn't see on any of the 3 scenarios an impact study based on the 3 scenarios. And what's the methodology to get to the impact studies? Can you tell me if an impact study has been done so far on any of the 3 scenarios that were presented today? And where's the methodology to get to those impact studies results?
Thanks for asking. Lisa, can you answer that one?
Yeah, the project website has the draft supplemental EIS, and in each section, it describes what information was collected and what were the methods or thresholds for determining what an impact is. So I think if you read the summary chapter first, that'll give you that high level sense of what was studied and how. And then chapter 3, you can take a deeper dive, and the 3 alternatives were analyzed, and they were meant to present a pretty wide range of growth and change so that we could see the results of a bookend. And I think, as was mentioned before, the idea that there may be elements of the alternatives that could be combined, or something in that range could be reviewed as a preferred alternative in the final EIS. And as was suggested, we will be responding to the comments in the final EIS through all these different methods.
I appreciate that, but and I'm sure now that you said it, I missed it. Where does it say how many schools will have to be built to accommodate the growth on each one?
Yeah, so as an example, 3.7, section 3.7 is public services, and that's where we cover schools, parks, police, and fire. And so there is a summary of what is the effect of how many students might be generated, for example. What's the demand for parks? What's the effect of growth on the transportation system using the city's transportation model, that kind of thing.
What did it say? How many new high school, a new high school, how many high schools do they recommend have to be built? If we go to number 2 or number 3 scenario, because I just don't see that.
We identified the number of students generated under each, and then there's classroom sizes. So I don't have it off the top of my head. I do recall there being, obviously with alternative 3, as the number of students generated seemed to me to be equivalent to a typical elementary school. But I would have to go and look at the charts, but they are in there.
Because I don't see anything where they propose the schools will be built.
And who will pay for these schools that are built? Aren't schools only built if bonds are passed, which increases property taxes?
Yeah, Susan and Mr. Stern, I can, if you want to contact me offline, we can walk you through the school issue. The school issue and how schools are funded and how students are generated is just a really complex issue that's not really amenable to being discussed in just a couple of minutes like this. But I'll give everybody my number here right now. Actually, my direct line. You can get it on the website as well. But my number is 425-587-3227, and you're welcome to call me anytime, and I'll chat with you about how school impacts are measured for the purposes of this SEIS, how school funding measures into the ability of the school district to build capital facilities. So yeah, please give me a call and we can chat about it in more detail.
Adam, would you be able to make this discussion public, sir? I mean, I have 3 girls in the local schools. I really want to hear that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We can think about the best way to sort of reach out to the community, but yeah, we'd be welcome to have a broader conversation about that. Thanks.
Record a Zoom, Adam.
Thanks for the idea.
Excellent. Well, I know we're just a bit over our time here today, and we so appreciate everyone not only staying with us for 2 hours during the evening while you probably wanted to be eating dinner, maybe you did, but also even 5 minutes longer. So we know that we are so grateful that you are all here and engaged with this process, and we're eager to continue to engage with you. So thank you very much to all of you this evening.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.